Welcome back to Generals on the March. Generals on the March is a storytelling podcast focused on telling the athletic history of Washington and Lee University through sit-down interviews with alumni, coaches, and athletes, detailing the athletic experience at our school and explaining how our history, traditions, and values make that experience unique. I'm your host, Thomas Wakefield, a first-year football player here at the university, recording from the Generals Redoubt's podcasting studio here at Fancy Hill. Join me today as we sit down with Cole Sheppard. Cole is a defensive lineman for the Washington Lee football team. He's a three-time WNL Scholar athlete and was Academic All-ODAC in 2024. Cole, so let's start off with the usual first question we ask in this show. How did you end up at WNL as an athlete? Like, how was your recruitment process? Where else did you look? Just walk us through your journey that led to you getting here to Lexington.
So the only reason I really heard about WNL is because a player that played at my high school was a former captain here. His name was Cameron Reed. I played with his younger brother, and they had nothing but good things to say about Washington Lee. Then throughout my senior season, it was a lot of what I was thinking about was recruiting, all that stuff. And one of the coaches reached out to me, Coach Jones, who's no longer here. And then eventually my senior year, one of my really close friends who also plays here now, Jackson Todd, got an offer from WNL. So reached out again. They said everything looked great. They gave me an offer, and I decided to commit here. I was looking at a couple other D3 schools. I had applied to some Division I schools in case football didn't work out, but this just seemed like the place for me.
Awesome. And I think that the fact that you had relationships at your high school with guys who went here, everyone who comes to WNL, I think, loves it. I think that may be a bit of a generalization, but there's really a special atmosphere in terms of the familial bond that we have here at Washington Lee. And I think that the fact we have like kind of pipeline high schools like that speaks to that for sure. So also, next question, would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about your athletic experience in high school here? What's different? What's the same? And how have you, I guess, matured and grown as an athlete since you've been here at WNL?
Yeah, I think I have an interesting perspective on it because I was out most of my freshman season. In week 2, I suffered a season-ending knee injury. So it was a really fast adjustment to being able to constantly do the sport that I came here to play and love, to pivoting to a different role, whether it was filming or helping out the coaches during practice. Like, for me, especially, my freshman season was very difficult. As a hyper-competitive person, naturally, I always want to be out on the field competing, pushing myself. But it was really hard to be forced to take a step back from that. It really gave me a lot of time to think about why I wanted to continue being an athlete, why I really chose to be an athlete. And I think through that, it helped me grow as a player and as a person, because it really helped me just reestablish like the foundational reasons why I actually love the game and why I love doing what I do. Sophomore season was much better. I stayed healthy, thank God. And I had a lot of fun with it. It felt like every day was a blessing, especially after not being able to do that the year prior. Although I wish we did a little better this season. I know a lot of people are happy with 7-4. Me personally, I'm not. Hopefully we make it to the playoffs next year. I think that's the goal for everyone on the team. But I feel like the culture is definitely developing into a really hardworking team. I think especially over the last 2 years, when I came in my freshman fall, there didn't seem to be as much cohesion in terms of being responsible on and off the field. It seems like as we've progressed as a team, there are a lot more people who are a lot more committed, who are really bought in to the mission, who are really trying to push for that playoff appearance. I would say it's very similar to what happened in my high school, my freshman and sophomore year. We were always fairly good. We won state championships my sophomore and junior year, but it seemed like as I progressed through high school, very similar situation where more people seem to be bought in, more people are doing extra work. And I'm really glad that it seems like the WNL community is doing the same. Yeah.
I think that's obviously we're all hoping for a playoff appearance here soon, another ODAC title. I was wondering, I have my own thoughts from like seeing the first couple 6 weeks of off-season workouts, but what are the markers of a team that's kind of moving in the right direction mentality-wise in terms of like how we're focused, what we're doing on and off the field? Because I have my own perspective, but not being here last year, you have more of a runway to kind of compare that experience.
I think one of the biggest things that actually helped was the first 6 weeks doing the lifts that are a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Being able to just throw weight around with everybody. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And especially having the entire team together at one specific time, I think that's really leading to us pushing each other harder. Last year, it was a lot more scientific lifts. It was a lot more spread out. There were multiple lifting times.
Okay.
And I feel like this year especially, everyone has made a lot more progress because just the atmosphere in the weight room is awesome. Like everyone's pumping heavy weights, whether it was circuit day or heavy bench day or heavy squat day. Like everyone was always super excited to go, and it feels like there's a lot more energy. And with that, people are going to get more out of the lifts, whether it's more scientific or not.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is people are buying into it more because obviously it's fun doing the lifts that you like. But I think that's transitioning well to doing some of the more scientific lifts and doing more of the lifts that aren't as much macho or fun, especially in these last 6 weeks before spring ball. I think that prior 6 weeks is really helping people carry over that sense of everyone being bought in and everyone being together. I think that's really helping in this offseason especially.
Yeah, that kind of high energy atmosphere. Yeah, because I would agree. Me personally, like, those first 6 weeks were awesome. And for the listeners' benefit, the first 6 weeks of the offseason from we got back from winter break all the way up to Feb break, the football team was doing a lot of heavy bench, a lot of heavy squat. We're trying to get the strength numbers up. And I mean, with what Cole was referring to as a scientific lift, they're talking about stuff that's specifically designed for targeting specific muscle groups or developing power. And like all that's very important. Not ever going to speak ill of that, but it was definitely cool to get in the weight room, throw around big weight, and because people really were getting after it, like you said. I would agree that's a really good sign. I think we started well with that. Moving on, I guess I don't know, I'm not in your position, but I would say that your sophomore to junior year is, I feel like, a transitional time in your journey here, if you'd agree. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I've seen it in the weight room, seen it in the field. You're transitioning from more of someone who's found their role, someone who's just playing, to like trying to be a leader and bring other guys along with you. So I was wondering if you can speak to the importance of leadership to you, what you've seen so far here, and then, how you're trying to approach transitioning to more of an upperclassman role.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially your freshman year when you're coming into camp, you don't really know anybody. You look at the juniors and seniors, it's wow, these guys have been through it 3 or 4 years. It's like they must have their stuff figured out. And as I've gone through the last 2 years, you really realize that nobody really has their stuff figured out. Everyone's just kind of figuring it out as they go along.
Yeah.
And I think having leaders in the past couple of years, especially our captains like Will Knight, Uno, Mahmood, Tucker, JJ, I think they were all really great examples of what people should try to be in the coming years. Especially Will Knight being in my position group, like I spent every day with him. I think it's funny, every time I meet with our position coach, when we're talking about leadership stuff, all he basically says is just become Will Knight.
Yeah.
He makes it sound so easy.
Yeah.
He makes it sound like it's so straightforward, but they're really great role models that I would really love to try to live up to. I think a big part of that is just actually finding your voice. I feel like there are a lot of people capable of leading on the team, especially since I would say a vast majority of the players that are here were probably captains on their high school team. So everyone has experience with it. But the biggest thing is just being able to find the courage to find your voice and speak out. And a lot of people respect the hard work. People see you putting in work every day. I know they respect that. I respect all the people who do that, whether they're a verified captain or not. Yeah. So I think, kind of summarizing my point, I think the two biggest things is just being able to find your voice and be comfortable speaking in front of the entire team, because it is hard sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't know the right things to say. Sometimes you're not even fired up yourself, but you have to put on a brave face and be able to talk to the team. It's not easy. No. Yeah. So I think that, and then just being able to show up every day and have people think, I want to work as hard as that guy. I want to be like that guy. I think that's the biggest part. It's really tough, but it's a fun process.
Yeah. And I think it's necessary too. You got to have leaders, obviously. But I think too, with the tradition of leaders we've had, it almost feels like kind of year over year, the program gets handed down from a few guys to a few guys. And obviously the coaches are here. Coach Laura has been here for 20 years, but the care of the team day to day, especially with D3, where the coaches aren't as hands-on in the offseason, feels like it gets handed down from guys to guys, which is something that experiencing the first time is funny to see. Because when you come in your freshman fall and you see Mahmood and you see like Tucker, and you're like, oh, Tucker and Mahmood have been probably running the team for like 10 years now. And then you see 6 months later, it's okay. We got a new crop of guys.
Yeah, my high school coach had this saying that I think still sticks very well out of this day. He's like, good teams, coaches lead, great teams, players lead. And I think being able to have those really solid foundational captains, and not only that, but people who can lead who are not designated as captains, I think that's one way to ensure success among a team.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Just if everybody's not only you're looking out for yourself, but like you're also looking out for the guy you're racking with, all that is super important. But yeah, moving on again from that, I was wondering, first 2 years, obviously first year you didn't play much, kind of learning experience, but what have been some of your favorite on the field moments from year to year so far?
I think this year especially, our last bowl game against Lycoming, I got in and I got a sack on a third down. I was really excited about that. I think the funny part about that is I told our coach, if you give me 5 plays, I'll get you a sack. And on the 5th play, I got it. And I was ecstatic. And there are photos of me celebrating.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite moment personally from this year.
Mm-hmm.
Another fun moment was Bridgewater when we won in
For
overtime.
sure.
That was a great experience, although I don't think it should have went to overtime. It was still awesome to celebrate Ty's great play and Fidel's catch for the win. I think those are 2 great moments from this year. I'm trying to think of last year. It's always fun when you beat Sydney. Every year when we beat them, it's going to be fun no matter what.
Oh, yeah. That was my visit my senior year of high school. So, like, seeing that was like, yeah, hell yeah, got me fired up, man. Because that was they did an 8-minute drive where they ran the ball, I think, like 17 or 18 times and kicked a field goal to win. When I was like, that's Washington League football, man.
Yeah, I remember watching from the hill and being like, man, we got 8.5 minutes left. Wonder what we're going to do. And they just ran the entire clock out. And I was like, wow. And I was celebrating from up behind the hill. Great experience. I've loved every minute of it. Even the moments where I'm not actively on the field, it's been great.
I think, too, like, the fact there's a clear-cut identity to the program is, I mean, you can say what you want about it. Like, I think it lends itself to joking when you know what you are. But I think the fact is, like, everybody on the offense, especially with the unique system we run, but also the defense, like, I think we all recognize what we are. And, like, I think that makes for a really, like, we take pride, I think, in what we do. I mean, I can't speak as much for the defense side of things. Maybe you can get into that. But, like, offensively, I know we take pride in, like, we're going to run the ball, going to control the clock, and we're going to kind of just chew up teams and put them in a meat grinder. And I think that taking pride in what you do is really important for a lot of reasons, but also just because, like, when I see the defense go out, I know that y'all are going to do what you do. You're going to make plays, get turnovers, get after the quarterback, stop the run. And, like, when you have that clear-cut identity, I think it makes a big difference. So,
yeah, I would say on the defensive side of the ball, we definitely have a goal in mind. And when we don't hit that, whether or not we're playing the best team in the country or a team that we should blow out by 50 points, like, we have stuff that we stick to it. No matter who we're playing, if they're better than us, it's going to be a 4th quarter battle because we're always going to be in there. We fly to the ball. We're aggressive. That's our whole thing. And against teams that we think we should blow out, our standards absolutely change. It goes from, hey, they should score this many points, like, we need to keep them under X points, whether it's 14 or 20 or 21, to shutout.
yeah.
And it might show up on the scoreboard, it's 45-7, but we come back in the locker room and we're still pissed off at ourselves because that could have been 0.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what, especially as a defense, I know you guys love to just run it down everyone's throats and just control the clock. It's kind of hard not to see it, but especially going up against it in practice every day.
Yeah.
But I think especially on the defensive side, we're always hungry for more. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our success on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think that the identity part, too, is something that stems from the coaches. Obviously, Coach Johnson with the DYO thing pregame, that always gets me fired up. But, like, I remember before the Salisbury game, my first game, like, I remember, like, LaRose for practice for 2 weeks was, like, he's harping on the identity bit. He's, no matter who they are, no matter how high they're ranked, like, they come here, and, like, they got to play us. And, like, one thing's for sure, I'm going to tell you right now, like, you're going to be more physical than them. And, like, I remember that. He harped on that every practice for 2 weeks. And as someone that, like, had just come into the program, was obviously figuring some stuff out related to what we do, who we are, like, how do I find success here? Hearing that made me, like, it feels good to know that, like, you have a standard that's expected of you, and this is what we're going to do, because it doesn't feel good to know that, like, your coaches don't have a plan. But I think that the fact that we hang our hats on doing these specific things well, and we're like, no matter what you do, you won't out-physical us, like, on both sides of the ball, that's just something that, like, I think is really beneficial to our success, especially for a team that's definitely smaller than most Division III schools, and for a team that maybe doesn't have as much athletes as the Salisburys, the Macons of the world, even the Hampton Cities of the world. But, yeah, moving on from that, we talk about all the time on this show that the D3 experience, you get a lot of balance between your athletics, of course, are a huge priority, but you've also got to be dialed in the classroom. You get a lot of opportunities additionally outside of classroom and athletics in regards to just getting involved, extracurricular experiences. So I was wondering, how has your academic journey gone since you've been here? Did you come in with a specific major in mind, or did you find your way once you got here? And how has that gone through your time here?
I think coming in high school, econ was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I was always really good at it. I thought about becoming an econ major. I hadn't really decided whether I was going to go the accounting finance route, econ route. The one thing the liberal arts education does is it gives you an opportunity to explore a wide variety of classes. It forces you to, actually, especially with your FDRs, which I'm still trying to figure out a little bit. But I kind of steered away from econ, focused more on the accounting major, which I've declared now. And I wouldn't really say it's been very tough to decide what major I wanted to do. I thought it would be a lot more difficult, but it seemed like everything just fell into place, and it seemed like a very clear-cut decision for me. I know it's not that way for everybody. I know a lot of people are deciding between a couple things, but also you have the opportunity to double major, get a minor, especially with credits coming in. Like, I have that opportunity to do that, which I'm looking to explore. I think getting involved, there are a lot of ways you can do it. There are a lot of clubs. I think especially like things like the consulting society I think those are really beneficial things that are great for your future career. Socially, you have Greek life, which I would say is one of the most like impactful organizations that I've joined for my day-to-day life, because a lot of my friends have come from Greek life. You get to meet a lot of new people for networking purposes through your Greek organization. Yeah, it allows you to meet a lot of new people, and I think it's great to be able to do those things beyond the football team, because no matter what, you're always going to have the 100 guys that you play with and have played with in past years that are going to be brothers for life. But being able to expand upon that, I think is great, and I think WNL especially gives a great opportunity to do that.
No, yeah. Listeners will know, but every single person that's come on the show so far that we've interviewed has mentioned like the spread of the curriculum and the things you get to and have to experience due to the FDRs. Again, like the fact that everybody has that experience is something really cool about the liberal arts, the nature of the school, the nature of the FDRs. Like, and I think it shows that the system is working as intended, that you get pushed to do a lot of different things, which is, again, really cool. Because, like, obviously my buddies went to big state schools. Like, you got to come to the declared major. And a lot of the time, like, you don't really have time to do much outside that major, or else you're not going to graduate, or there's a 2,000 person waiting list. So to be able to explore a lot of things and find passions is really cool. Obviously, a lot of people do go the accounting finance route, but a lot of people too, that's just like you said, it's where things fall into place for you. Because I don't know if obviously you know Mason, but I had him on. He talked about how like he was thinking about being pre-med when he applied, but then just like fell into place that accounting finance worked out better for him. So it's one of those things where like it's cool to see guys just fall into where they want to go, what they want to do, and it just happens naturally because of the way the school pushes you to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a pattern I've seen a lot, especially with guys on the football team coming in. They're like, oh, I'm thinking about doing pre-med. And then they end up taking some accounting or business classes. Oh, this is a lot more interesting. Like, I'm going to fall away from pre-med. I'm going to go towards accounting, towards business, towards econ. And I know personally a lot of people who've done that. Know a lot of people who are still doing pre-meds. There's just a really widespread of majors that people do here.
Yeah.
I think it's great, especially with the accredited business school.
Yeah, that is really cool. And also just another thing we touch on a lot of the time, I just want to make note of it again, is that there's no restrictions on majors for what you can do here for athletes. That's pretty common D3, but like at a school like this, it's generally some of the NESCACs I know, because I've talked to their coaches during my recruiting journey, and definitely some D1s. They don't say you can't do this major, but they're like, we highly recommend you don't do this, which like, again, their choice, their priority. I think it's cool how here you can be a pre-med and you can be a football player and you're expected to do really well at both. It just holds you to a higher standard of excellence. I think it's cool. And again, like the Greek life system, like another hugely distinctive WNL thing, like that's one of the things that I think alums, honestly, and obviously this organization, Generals Redoubt, is very tied into that network. But I think it's one of the things that alums, that's what they hang on to one of the most, honestly. Like those are your friends for life. That's your network. And I think it opens so many avenues that like you don't generally get at a small Division III school, because there's not a lot of schools that blend the academic experience we have here with the Greek life experience and the network opportunities that it offers.
Yeah, I'm my best friend from high school. He goes to school in California at Pomona, and their football team, which is comprised of two different schools.
Pomona Pitzer, Seychins, yep.
They don't have Greek life. I've talked to him about it. He's like, man, that's really strange. It's just like a foreign concept to him because they don't have anything like that. As a product, all the football guys hang out with each other all the time, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I think having that opportunity here to expand your circle is great. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, I think too, like the fact is, like it makes experience better, honestly, for like even the non-athletes here, because most Division III schools, the social scene is limited, or it's mostly sports teams that are the social scene. And the fact that there are so many like fraternities and sororities that cover a wide array of both. I mean, obviously, a lot of athletes go to specific sororities and fraternities, but I mean, there's guys of all different creeds, colors, in every fraternity, and it creates a lot more opportunities for people to get to know each other. And I think that honestly, even though I'm only like almost 2 semesters down now, but it's a small school, it's not a super impressive feat, but like I know almost every single person in my freshman class because there's so much like interconnecting, whether it's classes, Greek life events, like you really are encouraged to get out and be social, but also just like, meet people and network, you could call it if you want to put a better spin on it.
That's absolutely true. I felt the same way. I felt like towards the end of the year, there weren't a lot of new faces that I saw, especially from my class. And I think, yeah, like you said, that's a product of being able to network through so many different organizations, whether it's clubs, sports teams, classes, or Greek life. I think it brings the class a lot closer together.
Yeah, I would definitely. And I think that, again, so many of the university's goals, like whether they state it or not, is to create a place that does feel familial and a place where connection is encouraged. Like, I think, again, if you look at like speaking tradition, like obviously that's designed to make the campus feel welcoming, make you not scared to go up to people and talk. But even like things like the FDRs, and there's a lot of debate about whether how much university supports Greek life, but like the fact that it still exists, the capacity it does, they could have gotten rid of it a long time if they wanted. But I think that they understand the value it holds for just general networking purposes.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Moving on from that into, I guess, one of the last things I'll ask you today. I was wondering, over the next 2 years, what are some personal, athletic, more academic, you can be as brief or as long as you want with this, but just some goals you'd like to see accomplished over, I guess, next football season, the next few years in general?
I obviously have personal goals, whether they're small goals like weight goals for next season or lift numbers here and there, my GPA being this. But I think it all stems to, especially with football, that playoff appearance. I think everybody is really hungry for that. And I think a lot of the little goals that I have for myself are all funneling towards that. Academics, I just keep a certain GPA. I feel like that's self-explanatory. I'm more focused now, especially my sophomore year, at looking beyond college to job opportunities. That's especially where networking becomes very important, and that's where I'm very appreciative of WNL because you get in a lot of contact with a lot of really great people, a lot of really knowledgeable people.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to offer you a job right now or not doesn't really matter. They're always going to give you great advice.
Yeah.
I think that's leads into another goal of mine, which is just continue to expand my network because it's not going to hurt you. And no matter what, the more people you know later in life, probably the better, especially coming from a great education like WNL. There are going to be a lot of people in a lot of high places that are really successful, and being able to know those people, great for the business world, whether it's connecting on a project, looking for a job, having recommendations for certain people. So I think athletically, goal is playoffs. I think non-athletically, definitely just expanding my network, keeping my GPA where it is.
Gotcha.
Nothing hyper-specific there.
Yeah.
But just more of just keep it going.
Yeah, stuff for the long run. I understand what you're saying with that. But yeah, I think the WNL Alumni Network too is something that we hit on a lot because it's so common to the WNL experience. Like I'm sure Will had him on the first episode, mentioned that his job that he's going to work for this summer, like he originally met his bosses on the finance career trip and break his freshman year. So like the WNL Alumni Network is definitely strong. They look out for their people. And honestly, sometimes all you got to do is look around like this room and all the work the alums have done to support the Generals Redoubt to see stuff like that because their fingerprints are all over the place.
Absolutely. I remember a story. We had a dinner for the people in the greater Houston area where I'm from before my freshman fall. We went to get dinner at one of the seniors' last year's house, and they were talking about how cultish, I guess would be a good word, the WNL network is. He sent just a cold email to the president of the New York Stock Exchange at the time when he was much younger. Mm-hmm. And the guy who is constantly being reached out to for meetings, time, lunch, dinner, whatever it is, took time out of his day to just meet with him one-on-one just because he was a WNL graduate. And I think hearing that story, I realized how special it was to be here at WNL because the community is so tightly knit.
Oh, yeah.
And especially that alumni network, it's cultish.
Yeah.
Especially growing up in Texas, you see how a school like A&M especially, they all take care of their alums, and I've always thought it was great. You see it all the time. And people like to call them cultish. And then I came here, and it was like, wow, these guys really have each other's backs. It's impressive, and I'm really grateful for it because in the long run, it's going to offer a lot of people a lot of great opportunities.
Oh, yeah. You see it all over the place. Growing up in Charlotte is another pretty heavy WNL hub. for alums, and you see it all over. Like all of my mom's and dad's coworkers that like were WNL people when they found out I was going here, because my parents didn't go here. They went to Wake Forest and Davidson. But when they found out I was going here, they were like, there was like one of their own had gotten in. So they love this place, and I love it too. I think a lot of us do. But yeah, we're all incredibly grateful to them. And I think what you said about the playoff experience, kind of getting back to the athletic side of things, I think it's something, we're all hungry for. It's been a while, and obviously don't want to give too much away on the podcast, don't want to make too many predictions, but I think that next year is a really good chance based on what we're returning offensively and defensively, what we're trying to do, and obviously, like you mentioned way earlier in the podcast, the great start we've gotten off to in the offseason workouts.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, we all are. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on today, Cole. I really appreciate it. And to the listeners, thank you all very much again for tuning in for another episode. I'll see you all next time on Generals on the March.